Hello, it's Thursday. That means it's Thursday Q&A live with me, Phil Morse, here in the Digital DJ Tips studio. Another hour of talking DJing. That's what we do. So if you're new to this, welcome. It's good to have you here. We're live on our Facebook page, Digital DJ Tips. Also live in the Global DJ Network Facebook group. We're also live on YouTube on the Digital DJ Tips channel, and of course on Twitch. Let me just turn that record off because that's starting to annoy me, that little high-pitched hum of the DVS. We're live all over those places with a huge audience, as always. So thank you for being one of the thousands of people who join us for this. It's all about you. We're Digital DJ Tips, the biggest DJ school in the world, the people behind the best-selling book on Amazon, Rock the Dance Floor, on how to DJ, which is also an audio book and a Kindle book, by the way. But as well as all that, we do live shows like this totally for free. So yes, we've got courses. Yes, we've got people like Jazzy Jeff and Layback Luke and James Hype and so on, and of course ourselves with over nearly 30 DJ courses actually over the last 10 years that we have been making and getting out to many tens of thousands of DJs. But every week on a Thursday we go live with an Any Questions, and the whole point of this Any Questions is for you to just ask if there's anything you're stuck with in your DJing. Maybe you're struggling to understand your record decks, maybe you've got a problem with your mixer, maybe you're worrying about your music and how to sort your music out for a particular event or whatever. Or maybe you're worried about playing gigs, confidence, nerves, networking, promoting, anything. We've done it all, and so I'd love to share with you anything that we can to help you get over those bumps and challenges and move your DJing forward, because we all know it's the best hobby in the world, right? So the way we do it on a Thursday is we head over to what we call affectionately the comment cam. Hello, this is the comment cam, and this is where I can get your hellos up on the screen, and we can share together. So hello to let me just get the press the right button to get those on the screen here. It's that one there, I think that'll work. We always have these immediate tiny little teething issues as we get used to getting all this on, but I think that should work now if I click that button. No, it's not. How weird. So I'll think about that. I'll think about how to get those comments to come through, and if I can, I can, and if I can't, hey, we'll find a way. Who knows, people? I can read them all anyway. That's the important thing. I can see everything you're saying. So, oh, there we go. Good afternoon, says Peter in the sunny Netherlands. Hello to you, Mixmaster G, my friend. Hello to the Ruckus. Hello to You Don't Like My Music, who's saying check 1 2. Yeah, we got all that going. Thank you for that. Hello to Pavel over there in Lithuania. Mixmaster G, I just said hello to you already, but there's your shout. And so we're going to get straight in with the questions because they're coming in already thick and fast. What do you think about the Electro Voice EKX15P for DJ use? I got no idea, but I do know that our wedding DJ tutor, Jason Janai, really swears by Electro Voice speakers. He thinks they're great. So there's an endorsement there from inside Digital DJ Tips, but I don't know about that. This is from You Don't Like My Music. What do you think of HD WAV files for mastering? Are they worth using? LANDR offers them now. I'm going to claim ignorance on this one. To me, an uncompressed WAV file is the pinnacle of decent audio. So HD, no idea what that means. You know, so my default cynical side will say it's marketing rubbish, but I don't know, and so I'm not going to give you a proper opinion on that, but I don't have any opinion, so that's what I'm trying to say, I think. But if anyone does know about HD WAV files that apparently are being now offered by the LANDR service, then please do share with us and let us know. So more amplifier questions. This is from Andy. Actually, Joseph's just saying hello, so hello Joseph. Andy says, hi Phil, I've got an Alesis PA80 amp. And when it's on, it makes a buzzing noise. It's like it's interference with the phones. How can I fix this problem? It's probably a ground loop on your mains supply. So try plugging it into a different socket in a different room and seeing if that is something that can replicate it. And if so, then you're going to be starting to look for ground loop solutions. That's normally what causes the issue. Unfortunately, it can be a fiddly thing to fix, but the first thing to do is a little bit of investigation and find out if that's the truth. And the best way to do that is to plug it in, like I say, somewhere totally different from where you normally do on its own and see if that carries on. So John is along the coast in Spain. Hello, John. We are down here in Gibraltar, which has been completely UK crazy today because we've had a royal visit. There's been Union Jacks and school kids on the streets and 21 gun salute and marching bands and traffic jams everywhere. It's been craziness. So there we go. Right, so apparently the audio was a bit dodgy, but it's good now, so it's good to hear that one. Technobeat TV. Right, here is a long comment which will probably come out as tiny little bonsai writing on the screen, but I can read it okay here, so I will. It's from Craig, who says, I was catching up with the awesome Digital DJ Tips Tuesday topic. It's interesting and good that it wasn't tech related. We were talking on Tuesday about something utterly unrelated to technology for a change. And he said you mentioned a few times about when you were a resident DJ, and I wondered, could you share any more details about how you prepared back then for your weekly slots? Visiting record shops, music selection, playout gear, etc. Can you tell me how DJ phrasing was before waveforms? Well, I can show you how DJ phrasing was before waveforms, basically. So we had our turntables, we had our standard vinyl, which was very different to the vinyl that is on the turntables now, because this controls computers, of course. We had a piece of standard vinyl there, and we put our needle on it and we hit play, and we found the first beat and we counted in our heads 1 2 3 4 2 2 3 4, and that counting in our heads went on because there were no beat grids for us to look at on the screen or anything like that. And then we got another piece of vinyl, which I'm trying to find in the background here on my in my old vinyl collection, of which I have very little, but all I'm pulling out is DVS vinyl. So then we'd get another piece of vinyl, and we'd pop that onto the other record deck. And while we're still counting 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 on this one, we'd line this one up. This is all set to DVS, so I can't actually play the music for you. We'd line this one up in our headphones, find the first beat. I can actually hear the first beat there because I've done this so many tens of thousands of times. And we would hold that first beat, and when we were ready, obviously we'd set the speed right. When we were ready, 1 2 3 4 2 2 3 4. God, that's a fast record. I can hear that in the background. So it was all about counting. And the other thing we would do, which is crazy now when you think about it, but honestly we did this all the time, was we would look down at the record like this. And the reason we look down at the record like that is probably something I can show you on the overhead camera, is that the record had, you see, it's got these bits in here. For instance, there's one there. That bit that's a different color to the other bits is the breakdown. In this case, actually, it's where the tracks change. But you could see on the record, probably easier to show you on this one because it's a better pressing. You can see all these bits here. So we got a little breakdown here, a bigger one there, and a big one there. And so you would look and wait for the needle to move to near there, and then you would know when it was within a millimeter or two of that breakdown that at the end of the current run of 4 sets of 4 bars, you were going to hit the breakdown. So that was your way of confirming where you were counting phrases and beats. So it was very, very simple, but also a lot harder to pick up than using your beat grids and using the waveforms in Serato, which of course the waveforms on the screen in Serato make all this stuff really easy because you just look at the waveform there and you can see your waveform going on. So there's no issue with that. You can see where your beats are. You've got the big waveform and you've got the little one as well. And that was something that made it a complete revolution when digital DJing turned up. But back in the day, it was all about doing that. And then I could talk to you for weeks about, I played 15 years every Saturday night in an award-winning house club in Manchester in England, where I'm from. But one of the things I will share with you is the way a resident will figure out their tunes. And you know, you don't bring a new box of tunes or a new set of tunes every week when you're playing a residency. Instead, you change maybe 10 or 15 tunes at the most. And then you'll go and end up maybe playing 5 or 6 of the new tunes, and then the next week you'll change 10 or 15 and maybe play 5 or 6 of those. And so your set will evolve very slowly, and every now and then an old tune from a year ago, 2 years ago, 5 years ago will make it back into your set, and people will love it, then they'll get bored of it again. So it's a little bit like the programming of music on a radio station, where there's got to be familiarity underpinning everything. So one issue people have is like, am I allowed to play the same music more than once? Of course you are. People are coming to your venue because they know what you're going to play, so you might as as well play it. In fact, you've got to play it. And it's when you start playing the same music in the same order and doing the same transitions that it gets dull. But as long as you're not doing that, it's all good. Remembering the grooves for breakdowns are memories indeed. Right, let's have a tech question then. What can I use with the Prime 4? Let's just get the questions back on the screen there. What can I use with the Prime 4 that I can use my drop and sound effects with out of a laptop? Right, okay, so you've got sound effects, but of course any standalone DJ gear, so not only the Prime 2, Prime 4, Prime Go, SC5000 and 6000 from Denon DJ, but also the Pioneer DJ, XDJ, RX, RX2, RX3, RR, RZ, and so on, and RZ, XZ, all the standalone gear, and the CDJ 3000s. One thing they've all got in common is they don't have samplers built in. So if you want to drop samples and you're used to dropping samples, I mean, look, on DJ software, dropping samples is as easy as opening the sampler section and putting your samples into the slots here, and then you just press the sample button where it's set to. Hey, you've got 8 sample slots without even trying. And in fact, here we've got groups of sample slots as well. So we've got 32 of them. You know, we're spoiled with DJ software in a way that we're not with standalone DJ gear. So how do you do it? Honestly, the easiest way is to stick them onto your phone and get a lead from your phone to the auxiliary in on the mixer. And all mixers have an auxiliary in on them. So somewhere around the back of your DJ mixer or your console, there will be an input that says auxiliary. Now, having said that, I'm just wondering whether there actually is one on this. And without getting my head in your way, I can't double check. So there it is. Yeah, of course there is. So here's your auxiliary in. So you get a lead to go from your phone to your auxiliary in, and you might need the adapter, the output adapter from your phone, because of course they don't have headphone sockets anymore. And then you'll just use the auxiliary input level on the top of here. Again, I've forgotten where it is, but it'll be somewhere. It might actually be around the front. It is indeed down the front here, I think. But anyway, you'll use the auxiliary input volume control to get that level right, and then you'll use an app on your phone to drop your samples in. So the app that I would recommend you use, the one I've used recently anyway that I like, is called Koala, as in koala bear. So just take a look at that, and it's a very, very easy way of dropping samples, idents, DJ drops and all that kind of stuff into your sets. Or you can just get a DJ app on your phone. You know, Algorithm's DJ Pro AI will let you do not only samples but whole tracks and loops, and it's a good backup source as well if you ever have an issue with your main gear and you need to drop something in. So there we go. There's a way of getting your samples back if you're using standalone gear. Right, live questions, and I've got lots of them here, so please do ask away. That was the previous one, so where's our next question that I want to share with you? And I'm scanning them now because it's all live, this. So at the end of the day, you've got to put up with me looking at the questions as we're going through. And this is from Norbert, who says, is there a chance that Phase will get the wireless function with Rekordbox as it does with Serato? So this is Phase. I'm grabbing it from the shelf behind me now. So Phase is quite an interesting little thing. In fact, let me show you on the decks. So what Phase does, it's a DVS system. It allows you to use your record decks with DJ software. It is a receiver, which is this bit here, which plugs into your DJ software. And it is 2 transmitters, which are these, which charge up in the receiver. And they go onto your turntables. And once you get those on and you turn it on, these understand, they're gyroscope, accelerometer type things. They understand what you're doing here. And it's like using control vinyl for DVS. So you don't have to put the needle on anymore. You can just play away here using these little pucks. Now, originally, this system here required you to plug into your DJ gear, and that's why it's got these inputs and outputs here. But this now works with Serato as an official accessory, so you just plug it into Serato. You always have to plug it into your computer anyway, but you plug it into Serato, and that means that you don't have to plug it into your mixer anymore, as long as the mixer is compatible with Serato and is also plugged into it, which just makes it easier. It's just like into your computer, put the pucks on, and you're ready to go. You don't need to do any complicated setup, which can be really useful when you're DJing in a club and there's other DJs there or whatever, or just for convenience at any point. So the question was, and it's a great system by the way, it's been updated a lot over the years, works really nicely now. So the question was, does phase work with Rekordbox, or will it, in the way it does with Serato? And the answer to that is we don't know, but we haven't heard a single word that it will. Rekordbox is made by Pioneer, who are pretty closed when it comes to collaborations with other hardware companies on anything really. So it's something I wouldn't hold my breath for, which is a shame, but you can still use it with Rekordbox, you just have to do it the old-fashioned way. So there we go. That is the answer to that one. Right, what else have we got here coming in on the wire? It's good to see you all helping each other out as well. A little tip, if you would like to get help from us, please ask on Facebook. The reason that asking on Facebook is a good idea is that if you do that, we are able to answer your questions afterwards rather than them disappearing like they do on Twitch and YouTube when the live show is finished. So we'll be able to find your questions, and my team will help you as soon as that's done. So this is from Soundwave. Do you think it's a good idea to eventually learn how to DJ without headphones? I know some DJs do it. So the first thing I would ask you here, Soundwave, is why? Why are you obsessed with wanting to DJ without headphones? What do you think it's going to bring for you? Some DJs will DJ without headphones because they practice their whole set, their whole routine, and they're using the software, they're looking at the waveforms on the software screen very closely, and they know where their cue points are, and they know where their tracks change and so on, so they just don't need headphones in order to play their set. But look, here's the thing. If you want to use headphones for the reasons I'm about to outline, then there'd be no reason not to. So for instance, if you're playing a 5 or 6, 7 hour club set, right? The whole point is to get energy from you to the dance floor and get the vibe going. And one of the ways that I love for doing that is to put my headphones on, cocoon myself away from what's going on in the club, and drop the needle on the next track, or hit play on the next track, and say to myself, is this the right track to play next? And get lost in the music, close my eyes. If I was in this club now and this came on next, what would it do to me? Would I like it? And I really appreciate being able to literally zone out of a club, zone out of a venue, and just get into my world in order to decide where to take the set, where to go next. So for me, being able to preview your tracks in your headphones is an amazing skill, or an amazing feature to have, and I would hate to be without it. You know, back in the day, there were DJs, and some of you will remember them, who used to have an old telephone. You remember the telephones that came with a coil on them that went to the receiver? And they used to have an old telephone that had been hacked to work as headphones, so they could just about, in a scratchy way, hear the next track. And I hated those because I love to be able to cocoon myself away. So that's one reason why headphones are a good idea. The second reason is if you haven't planned your whole set, you're going to want the headphones just to check whether the track that you want to play starts the way you think it starts and ends the way you think it ends, in order to get your mix right and so on. So I would say, look, Angelo doesn't use headphones a lot of the time, one of our tutors, because his sets are very planned and a lot of his routines are very planned, but he certainly uses headphones when he's playing in a club. So I would say question why you are so interested in DJing without headphones, because it doesn't make an awful lot of sense to do that, to be quite honest with you. Right, so let us grab another question from those coming in. Apparently it's a very foggy day in Nova Scotia, somewhere I've always wanted to visit on no other premise than I just love the name Nova Scotia. So one day maybe I will. This is from Larry, who says, and this is going to come out very small, but again, I can read it. What do you think about other manufacturers who follow Denon's move with the LC6000, like an identical equipment media player, sold in pairs, reasonably priced, identical layout, alongside of controllers, like the Reloop Mixon 4, Numark NS4 effects, etc. All these controllers can add turntables. How about a 4-deck experience with them? Okay, so they can't, to start with, all add turntables. Some can. So this is what we're talking about here. Let's go over to the workshop to talk about this. So a DJ controller. Here is a DJ controller. This is the exact one we were talking about. You were talking about the NS4 FX. Has got 2 decks. But it's got 4 channels, right? So you can play 4 channels of music, but you've only got 2 decks. So it has a button called layer. And the layer buttons on your DJ controller will switch from deck 1 to deck 3 and deck 2 to deck 4 to give you 4 decks of control. And there's clever software programming so that works and it doesn't catch you out. So that's how they kind of get around having only 2 physical decks for the 4 decks that it can play in your software. But there are other ways of doing that. And another way of doing that is to plug in an actual second physical deck. So one of those is the LC6000, which is actually over here. So I'm going to walk off camera to grab one and show it to you. So this is an LC6000 from Denon DJ. And this is a controller. It hasn't got any audio inputs and outputs on it. It's simply got a USB on it, and this is a controller. And the idea with this is you sit it next to your DJ gear on your desk. So you have your controller there, and you'd have one of those there, and one on the other side maybe if you wanted 4 decks. And then suddenly you're controlling all 4 decks of your software. And that's the way these are designed to work. They're designed to break out the virtual deck, if you like, that's built into DJ controllers or DJ systems and give you a physical deck for it to work from instead. Now these are full-sized, right? But the whole point is that they're cheaper than buying a full-on media player or another controller because they've got to do less. So here's the thing. This is big. Now actually Denon DJ back in the day had a little deck, I think it was called the DN6000 from memory. DN2000 maybe, but it was about that big. It was a tiny little thing, which looked really nice sat next to controllers and gave you that kind of breakout. These work with all the Denon stuff, by the way, the Prime 4, well, some of it, the Prime 4, the SC6000 players and so on. But your question is, you know, if you can plug 2 record decks into a controller, I mean, these are plugged into a mixer here, but these could be plugged into a higher end controller, something like the Pioneer DDJ1000 for instance, or the Traktor Control S4, they will all let you plug 2 record decks into the controller, and then you can put control vinyl on them like I've had on here earlier, so you can control the software, or indeed you can just switch on the mixer through to phono, which is another word for record deck, and then you could be blending real vinyl with a controller. So your question is, if you're going to have real vinyl and turntables, and if they can plug in, why not have controllers that can plug in? So the answer is that you do. You've got the one I just showed you, the Denon one, but there isn't really a small breakout deck on the market at the moment that can plug into controllers and be controlled that way. And it's quite curious as to why there isn't, because I agree with you. It is something that I think would make sense. They have existed in the past. There's a brand called DJ Tech, used to have one, and it was actually quite good. It did the job. I think part of the reason that these things don't exist is that one of the hardest things to map, and by map I mean get the software to work with hardware-wise, is jog wheels, because they have to use a very advanced protocol to feel right. So whereas, you know, something like a mixer, the buttons and stuff, easy, just use MIDI for that, and the knobs, MIDI, easy. It's existed for 30 years, longer. When it comes to the actual feel of a turntable and the control of a turntable or a jog wheel, it's harder. And so the manufacturers tend to do it in-house and do it with their own gear. So to have a deck, a single deck that could plug into any DJ controller and allow you to work with any DJ controller, because it's actually the laptop it's plugging into with the software on it, and have that work. Like if they made one for Traktor, probably wouldn't be so good with Rekordbox. If they made one for Serato, probably wouldn't work well with Traktor, and so on. So I think that's probably why. Just in the same way that, you know, making a music app for an Android phone is hard because there's so many different types of Android phone out there that it'll work on some but not on others. Whereas making one for an Apple phone is easy because they're all the same. I think that's probably what it is. There's just so many little slight tweaks in the protocols for jog wheels and so on, which is probably why DVS works so well, because DVS is kind of like, you know, email will work on any brand of computer or phone or iPad or whatever, won't it? DVS will work on any brand of DJ gear that works with any kind of DVS with certain small, usually licensing limitations, but the technology is universal, so it's probably why turntables are kind of preferred for that kind of thing. That's a great question, that one, so thank you for that. Right, let's get back to our get back to where we were and grab another one and get that on the screen. Absolutely loving it today, people. Thank you for being here. If you're enjoying this and you're getting value from it, hit those like buttons, and if you're new, hit the subscribe or the follow or whatever it is on your channel in order for us to continue to let you know about this stuff. This is from Martin. I saw your video on the Mixstream Pro effects. Yeah, we did a video on the changes to their effects recently. And you said it now works on Virtual DJ. Is it good on Virtual DJ? And can you use it as a standalone and Virtual DJ? Right, so yes, it works really well. The Mixstream Pro is a standalone DJ controller with the same tech in it that is used by all the Denon DJ gear. It's called Engine DJ, which is very powerful. But now you can also use it as a controller with Virtual DJ. And when you plug it in, the screens work and everything, it's all cool. And you can, so therefore, use it like a normal controller. And your second part of your question, can you use it as a standalone and Virtual DJ? Not at the same time, I don't think. I think it's an either or. That so cool, thank you for that. Sanjeev, what would be the best upgrade from a Numark Mixtrack Pro 3? Would it be a Mixtrack Pro Platinum or an NS4 FX? I wouldn't bother, I'd just stick with your Mixtrack Pro 3 if it was me, because you're just buying another newer but basically no different, similar type of device. If you're going to upgrade from any of those entry to mid-level controllers, save the extra money and buy a Pro controller. Buy something that is, you know, that's aimed at the higher end of the market, because and then you can keep the controller you've already got as a backup. But I don't think moving sideways to another controller that's similar is generally a good use of your money. Go buy some music instead. So any tips on a good, any word on a Reloop Mixon 8 review? So this is the new Reloop Mixon 8, which has just been launched. So I'll show you the Mixon 8. We've got it on the website. The Mixon 8 is a really promising looking DJ controller. So thank you to our community members who were at the NAMM Show in California last week, who saw this controller. It's from Reloop. It's a premier controller. It's made of metal. It's you know, they've not cut the corners on this at all. So it's meant to be a pro device. It works with both Serato on a laptop and with Algorithms DJ Pro AI on both laptop and tablet. And it's got lots of nice features. It's a standalone mixer. It's got lots of onboard effects, I do believe. You can plug your record decks into it, and it's just one of those controllers that looks like it pretty much does everything. So your question is, have you got a review of this thing? And my answer to you is no. The reason we haven't got a review is that there's literally 2 prototypes in the world and they don't work very well at the moment. Reloop are not at the stage of manufacturing it yet. When they are, we will get one in and we will do a review for you, I promise you that much, because I spoke to them about it, and so Mixmaster G is just confirming that indeed it is just a prototype. So not quite there yet with that. They showed it early, tried to get you excited in it, but it's not available. Right, here's a beginner question. We like our beginner questions. Sean, I just started DJing and I'm having problems trying to find music sources to populate my library. Where does everyone get their music? So the best thing a new DJ can do is just sign up to one of the streaming services. You've got Beatport and BeatSource streaming, and you've also got Tidal and SoundCloud Go, all of which will give you a 3 months trial. You can have 4 months of free music just by subscribing to one after the other, after the other, after the other. If you bought a Digital DJ Tips DJ course, you'd get 3 months of Beatport for free, so, or BeatSource. And they're a great way to experiment, because you can then use the streaming service to mix all kinds of music. You can basically immerse yourself in music and then start to figure out what you want to do, and then you can start to buy the tracks. When it's time to buy the tracks, there's a few places you can get them. Most people will get them from somewhere like iTunes, Traxsource, Juno Download. There's 3 stores for you, and between the and Beatport, of course. How could I miss Beatport? Between those, you pretty much got all your bases covered. But another thing to consider is joining a download pool. So a download pool is a kind of subscription service where for a fixed monthly fee you can download DJ friendly versions of most new commercial music. And so these can be very good, especially if you're a working DJ, and nominally you're meant to be a working DJ to sign up. But hey, if you've made a DJ Facebook page with your name and a picture at the top, send them that as proof that you're a working DJ. You'll usually be okay. And then these are good because for your, you know, upwards of $20, $30 a month, you literally have access to not only the latest music, but DJ friendly versions with easy to mix versions and so on. So it might be worth considering one of those as well. The more important thing is to make sure that you think hard about the music you're adding to your collection, that you learn the music you're adding to your collection, you learn to mix with it. Just like there's no point being a plumber or a carpenter with 17 tool cases if you can't use any of the tools. Much better to have one tool case with tools that you know how to use and that you can get the job done with. So add to your collection slowly and thoughtfully. Lots of you loving Phase. Thank you for that. This is from Rafaela, who's switched to Facebook to be nice, but there's no need because in fact, I've already answered your question, or a similar question. It was about samples, so I'm glad about that. So Craig says, as much as I enjoy catching up with your streams, I was gutted not to win the Novation Circuit tracks. Yeah, we had a competition to win these awesome groove boxes. I'm determined to be a winner one day, even if it's a pair of earplugs. Hey, you're already a winner to us, Craig. So we were talking about earphones, and on Twitch, Positive V says, James Hype, our tutor of course, uses in-ear monitors. He does indeed. They look like wired headphones, and he leaves them in all the time using something called split Q. And split Q is a way of sending into one headphone what the club is hearing, into the other one what you've chosen to listen to on the mixer. And so that's the way James DJs. It's a slightly different way to DJ, but he does use headphones. And you like my music, you don't like my music, prefers headphones to booth monitors. There we go. So thank you for that. Lots of chat going on about that. It's always good to see you chatting among yourselves, because it just means I can just sit here and have that warm glow that I get when I see the community helping each other out. Right, let's grab another live question. This is from Ashley. Can you give an example of a good file transfer program to use? I use Virtual DJ and sometimes an external hard drive, but I find I have a lot of duplicate folders or hidden folders, making it different to find things when I'm playing. Well, what you need, Ashley, is not a good file transfer program. You need to clean up your DJ music. And there's an issue here that a lot of people don't really understand what's happening with digital music files. And a lot of the services that we use don't help us with that issue. So you should have only one copy of any given music file on your computer. If you download a song, then that version you downloaded, that copy that you downloaded, is your copy of that song, and that you should only ever have the one copy, apart from, of course, when you back up your system, which is another conversation. So the question is, where does that copy live? Well, if you download it into your downloads folder, it's currently living there. If you drag it onto your desktop, it's no longer in your downloads folder, but it's now on the desktop. If you copy it onto your desktop, it's now in the downloads folder and the desktop. If you then open iTunes and say add to iTunes, iTunes, unless you tell it not to, will copy it from wherever it found it into its own library. If you then drag your whole music folder that you've just made for tonight's gig onto an external drive and then take that out with you, you've now got copies on the external drive. So you're already messing things up before you've even opened your DJ software. When you open your DJ software and drag music into there, your DJ software doesn't copy the music into itself in the way that it might suggest it does when it says importing tracks. It's not importing the tracks at all. It's just making a database that tells it where to find the tracks. So if you add tracks to your DJ software and they are currently in your downloads folder, your DJ software says, okay, I can find this track that you just added in your downloads folder. And when you load it, it's going there to look for it. Now, if you then move it somewhere else, the software can't find it. So not only have you got duplicates, but you've now got red entries in your DJ software where it can't find songs. So you can see how easy it is to mess up. So there's a few pieces of housekeeping that all DJs should do which help with this. The first thing is make sure you've only ever got one copy of each tune. Have it in a place where you know it's kept, and the best place to put it is in a folder on your hard drive called My DJ Music. That's it. And then when you add music to your DJ library, never move it again. It lives there on that My DJ Music folder forever. Never import your music into anything that copies it, because you don't want it to copy it. So if you want to use iTunes or Music as it's called on Macs nowadays, don't let it copy it and organize that music for you. Just get into the settings and turn that stuff off before you let that happen. There's one thing that I need to warn you about if you are one of the few people who uses Rekordbox in its Pro version. Rekordbox has a Pro version now with a cloud library function that will put your music into Dropbox and let you have it on your phone and do lots of other cool stuff. But that alone among DJ software currently will copy that music. And so then you'll have 2 copies of it. So you need to figure out how you're going to do that if you want to use Rekordbox. But it all comes down to knowing where your music physically is. So that's what you want to do, Ashley. You want to sort your music out, get 1 copy of every track you want to keep into a folder, single folder, and then get that into your DJ software and do all the organizing in your DJ software. Do all the playlists, do all the tidying up, do everything in the DJ software. Just like if you were a photographer, you wouldn't organize your photos individually in your Windows Explorer. Of course you wouldn't. You'd organize it in Lightroom or whatever it is you use to organize your pictures. Same thing with your music. Ronald, totally with you on that one of the real pioneers and will be sorely missed. And speaking of which, the man who invented it, rest in peace indeed, Dave Smith. So jog wheel mapping is indeed one of the hardest things to do, and honestly Algorithm and the VDJ developers do wonders with that. 2 of the companies who make software that is attempting to be compatible with everything. Thank you for pointing that one out. So I don't think there is, John, a way of getting total tracks and playtime on Serato as it shows you if you set up a playlist on iTunes. No, I don't think you can say how long is this playlist I've just made. And I guess it makes sense because you're never going to play all those tracks end to end. So I guess the total length of a playlist is a bit pointless in Serato, but I don't think there is a way to do that. We are taking questions live here, people. They're all coming through to me wherever you're asking, Facebook, YouTube, or indeed Twitch. This is one from Twitch, from DJ Cranking Chris, who says, please tell me you have some Traktor news that you can share. Is there any additional news beside the beta Traktor Pro release? No, but hey, there is a beta release of Traktor. One of the best places to hang about if you are a Traktor aficionado and you want news is over on our friends DJ Tech Tools, because Tech Tools are traditionally the Traktor loving site. So they've got a write-up of what's new in the beta at the moment here so far. And there will no doubt be comments underneath. Indeed, the comments are starting to come in underneath. And this is probably where you're going to see the whole thing revealed first. So a bit of a tip, keep an eye on specifically this post on Tech Tools, which is Traktor's new beta cycle has begun, and that will be one of the good places, and indeed their forum. But Tech Tools is the kind of Traktor friendly site for sure. That's the place where traditionally Traktor stuff has happened. Right, this is from DJ Incompetent. Love your name. What is the best practice to tagging or identifying songs on Engine OS? I can add hashtag comments in Engine Prep, but Engine OS shows so few fields in browsing. Yeah, so this is a classic issue, which is, you know, you get a song and you think, this works really well with this, and this, right? And so you've got a little cluster of songs, a little mini playlist. How do you recall those songs? So this is something that DJ Angelo, one of our tutors, does a lot. He'll end up on a song, and then he'll want to play the cluster that live around that song. And the best way of doing it in DJ software is to have a folder of playlists that you call mini playlists. So let's just get over to Serato, and I'll show you what I mean. So you've got your playlist down the left here. So you have like, I've only got 2 songs in Serato at the moment for what we're doing, but you have a little playlist here that is called, mini disco set, and you can nest playlists within playlists and stuff and build them up down here. And so that you know when you start playing a song, you've got a little playlist of other songs that are like it. However, Algorithm's DJ Pro AI, which has just been updated, has got a really nice way of doing this, which is that it uses, it looks like it just crashed actually. Maybe it didn't like Serato being open at the same time. I'll give it one more try. If not, I'm just going to have to tell you about it. But DJ Pro AI has got a little section down here where you can look at songs that you've chosen that go with another song. So for instance, I'm just trying to find a example here of how this works. So I've only actually looked at this once myself, so you're going to have to forgive me while I just try and remember how this works. Right, here we go. So this little panel here, so when you select a song here, let's say you're playing this song here, right? When you select that song, which you will do when you start playing it, here you've got a panel which tells you information about the song, right? It's called Dreams, it's 100 BPM, this is the waveform. It's actually quite nice the way this works in Algorithm's DJ Pro AI, and here's all the information about that song. But here we can also click and find out related songs to that song. So the related songs actually were where I was, I think. I was actually looking at them a second ago, so some of you who know this software are going to be screaming at me now, Phil, they're there. Here we go. No, this is song match. This isn't related. I was literally at it a second ago, so I managed to arrive at it somehow, but I'm not sure how I did it. Anyway, it's a feature down here that lets you, I'm determined to find it again now. Absolutely determined. Is it here? No. It's not there. I think it must have been there. Must have been here. There we go, it's there. I knew I saw it. I'm going mad. Right, you get this second tab called Related Songs. Right, this is really cool, people. So despite my clunky demo, just bear with me here. So here we have all the songs that I personally have decided work well with this song, right? Those little clusters. So it's like a playlist that we've got over here, but it's almost like a temporary one. So let's say that this one here works well with that. I figure out that that song there works well with this song. So I can just drag it into here and it'll appear here with these songs. And even better, when I go to any of the other songs, then the songs that are related to that song will show here as well. So it's a way of manually having a list of songs. I mean, this can suggest songs. This can suggest songs to you that might work next. But it's a way of manually getting suggestions of songs that you figured out yourself. And no other software does that. No other software has got this related song feature where you add the related songs. So I really like the way that works in DJ Pro AI, despite the fact I couldn't find the feature there, having not looked at it since we did our very quick review of it last week. And it's something I'm looking forward to playing with myself, because I just think it solves a problem of DJs. We think in little clusters of tunes. Back in the day, in our record boxes, the songs that work well together kind of moved together because we just played them one after the other. So when we came back to that record box, there they were all in the same place, and you kind of intuitively knew where to look for things. And I think that's got a way of developing into that, which is really cool. So thank you for the question. This is from Chris. Struggling with latency, stuttering music with Rekordbox and a new high-end Windows laptop. Any tips to solve? So we've got an article on Digital DJ Tips about the things you can go through to optimize your laptop, which I'll show you now. Inside our Digital DJ Lab program, we've got really detailed videos on how to optimize both Windows and Mac laptops. So if you are interested in that, it's currently a $1 trial on Digital DJ Lab. It's our subscription product, it's our subscription service full of hundreds and hundreds of lessons that we don't have on any of our courses. So it's a great product, but you can have a look at it, try it for $1 right now. I'll show you how to do that straight after I've shown you this article. So the first thing to do is just check that you're optimized properly. As I say, we've got an article on Digital DJ Tips that will show you how to do that. Let me just give you a tip. If you go to digitaldjtips.com and click on the magnifying glass here, and you type in what you want, we've got about 6,000 articles on Digital DJ Tips, and here instantly we've got a link to the article you want, right? So this is a good place to go to for any of your DJing issues. Type it into the search bar and you'll find that there'll be an article, or more likely 10 articles about what it is. So do go and take a look at that. While we're here, by the way, let me just show you where to go. Head to this panel here on the homepage. Try the world's best DJ and mixing training program for a month for just $1. Click on there, watch the short 3-minute video. You've got 17 hours left before this $1 for a month trial closes. So it's no obligation. Go and take a look, because this is an awesome resource, and there's many hundreds of DJs in there who would agree with you. It's absolutely full of training. So one of the things that's in there is a very, very detailed look at all the settings for your laptop. Of course, the other thing to do is to head over to your software's latency settings. So your latency settings will be somewhere, this is in Serato, but it's very similar in Rekordbox. There'll be somewhere where you can set the audio buffer size or latency. And this number here in milliseconds or frames it's sometimes in, you want to move the slider so that the number goes up. Just one notch ought to do it, and then try again and see if the issue has stopped. You know, it doesn't matter how good your laptop is, sometimes you're trying to do too much on it, and just moving the latency up a little bit will solve that issue for you. Right, we are live here at Digital DJ Tips, and I am here, Phil Morse, in the studio to help you with your DJing queries, issues, problems. We're live on YouTube, Facebook and Twitch, so wherever you are, you've got a few more minutes to get your questions in. Do ask your questions on the Facebook page if you can, because it means that we can get to you afterwards if we haven't answered your question, which is probably going to be the case, because try as we can, there are too many questions for the hour that we have every week here. The next live one then is from Martin. It's a music question. Martin says, how can you break the cycle of just getting the songs you need to your collection and just ripping albums to YouTube? So how can you break the cycle of just getting the songs you need to your collection and just ripping albums to iTunes? Did I say YouTube? I meant iTunes. I'm not sure what you mean there, Martin. I mean, a DJ should only ever put songs in their DJ library that they want to play, right? There's no point at all putting whole albums into your DJ library. It's all about individual tracks. I don't even use the album tag on my music, and I don't recommend you do either. And I don't recommend you worry about albums at all. It's pointless. Just put the individual tracks into your collection you like. What I do is use a streaming service. I use Apple Music, but of course you could use Spotify or whatever as my day-to-day music service. You know, nearly all music, including the most underground of underground music, is on a streaming service nowadays. So what I do is use those services for my listening, for my playlists, for my weekly playlist, for listening to albums and so on. And I just add tracks to a DJ playlist if I like them, called like DJ. And then I listen through that whenever I've got some time, and any that I truly want, I go and buy and add to my DJ collection. That works really well for me. So I keep the kind of traditional record collection now in a streaming service, and I only buy the tracks that I actually want for my DJing. So that works really well. So maybe try that yourself. And that will maybe break the cycle of whatever it is you're stuck in there. But I'm sure I didn't quite understand that, so maybe do share a little bit more. So Pablo's advice for beginner DJs is to buy WAV files or FLAC files, which are non-compressed audio, and don't get MP3. You can use software to convert to MP3 if you need to, but getting into the habit of buying good quality uncompressed files. I've done a lot of listening tests and there's a lot of difference. This will roll on and on and on, just like the Mac versus PC debate rolls on and on and on. Some people will say you have to use WAV files, which are uncompressed. Other people will say MP3s and the Apple equivalent AACs sound just as good. Make your own mind up. Put good headphones on, play them through a good system, use your ears, buy what makes sense for you. If you're going to be using them to make your own music with, like you're going to be importing them into Ableton or something, then definitely buy the uncompressed version, because that's what Ableton will do. It'll turn it into you won't let you edit straight from an MP3, so you might as well buy that in the first place. A lot of DJs are very happy with the best quality MP3s, myself included. Have a listen for yourself and make your own mind up on that one. You're very welcome, Stephen. That's what we are here for. If you've got 6 terabytes of music, your collection's probably a bit big. Declare record collection 0. Start putting into your record collection version 2.0 the tracks you actually play. You might be surprised to find out how few that is. Layback Luke has been DJing for 25 years. He's got 2,500 tunes in his collection. That's 1,000 a year. Sorry, 100 a year. That's not very many tunes. Think that one through. This is Alan, who I know very well. I've recently purchased a Numark Mixstream Pro and I'm loving it. The only issue I'm having is exporting music via the engine software on my Mac. I've put the music directly to the SD card and I'm wondering if the unit can analyze my music on the fly. It can, but there's no reason at all to do that. Get the engine software on your Mac and analyze it all in there. You can do an awful lot more there and the unit will thank you for it. So that's what the software for your Mac is for. So get Engine DJ for your Mac. Use it as a preparation tool, export direct to your USB drive, and then your unit will work how it was intended. David says, any news at all from NAMM 2022? As if there's nothing happening at all. I thought gear news would be exploding by now. I'm just joining. I don't know if this has already been talked about. You know, the days of big gear launches going on at trade shows are long gone. It all happens online now. There's very little stuff that we don't hear about ahead of time when it comes to this stuff. I mean, there were a couple of things at NAMM. There was the Hercules Impulse 300, which is a budget controller for Serato. It's going to come in at under $200. Interesting at that side of the market. There was the Reloop Mixon 8, which was, you know, probably the only piece of DJ hardware worth talking about that was launched there. Rekordbox announced streaming for BPM Supreme inside their software, but that wasn't really a NAMM thing. It just happened at the same time. But yeah, the days of big announcements at trade shows are really behind us, for better or for worse. It's all gone online now. So let's grab another question. This is from Spencer. I'm having issues with loading pitch and time, which is Serato's time stretching software, and key sync and key shifting software, onto Serato. Who can I get it on there? I downloaded the drive, but it's not giving me no option to upload onto Serato. Right, Serato has a simple-ish, obviously not for you, Spencer, but generally a simple way of its expansion packs, as they call them, working. So what you've got to do in Serato is go and buy the expansion pack on the website and click the download, and then they'll show in here. And then you need to enable them. You need to click enable here. So maybe you've got pitch and time in, but you haven't clicked enable. And if you haven't done that, it won't show. So maybe just go over to expansion packs. Make sure you're logged in as you on your Serato. I'm logged in as me here, so it's going to work. But you've got to make sure you're logged in as you on your copy of Serato, and then everything you bought will appear here, but you've got to make sure it's turned on. It could be that it's nothing more than that causing the issue. And so for a couple of you, by the way, who when I was showing DJ software a minute ago said, you can't have Serato and DJ open at the same time. I know. I'll keep doing it though until they figure it out and let me. Thank you for that. Has anyone else noticed that DJ Pro now color codes songs? Awesome for what I call fuzzy key mixing. It's not actually quite there for that, but it does color code songs that are kind of close in key. I was speaking to them about that exact same thing. If you don't know what fuzzy key mixing is, it's a way of mixing any track into any other track while still keeping it in key. And it uses a more grown-up way of approaching key mixing than the Camelot way, which is the one that's been taught until now. It's something we've been teaching for years because we never agreed with the Camelot way of doing it, and Pioneer DJ now does it as well, which is absolutely awesome. But again, this is a great example of going to the Digital DJ Tips website and typing it in. If you type in to the search bar, just the word fuzzy will do it for you. Fuzzy, you'll find an article there where we explain it all to you, what's going on. Rekordbox now uses it as well, which is cool. Here it is. So this is our article explaining it and talking you through exactly how to do it. So do go and take a look at that, because it is an absolute game changer if you want to use key mixing but you're sick of not knowing whether the next track you want to play is going to work in key, because this means most of the time it will work in key, which is pretty awesome. Right, so we're into our last couple of minutes here, so I'll just really grab one or two more questions to finish off with. This is from Alan and Eben were talking about using DVS, which we had set up here at the beginning, and I agree, it is a great way to get stuck in. So a free shout out for Sarah, who says that she is live every Monday on Mixcloud at 9 PM, but it keeps getting stuck. Is there a streaming window where too little or too much causes the problem? No, not too little. Make sure your streaming software is sending out no more than about 4,000 kilobits per second, which is probably the case anyway. Just knock your resolution down to 720 instead of 1080 maybe, and just check your internet's fast enough. If you can, get a wire going from your live streaming computer into your router and use Ethernet rather than Wi-Fi. You know, all these things might help, or it could just be your computer not being fast enough, which again can be solved by using fewer cameras and a lower resolution. Good luck with your live stream. If anyone would like to tune in on Monday at 9 PM, we don't know where Sarah is, so we don't know the what's the word I'm looking for? The time zone. That was the word I'm looking for. So cool, thank you for that. So this is from Alan, talking about our Digital DJ Lab training. Will there ever be a one-off payment for your Digital DJ Lab training like there are for your other courses? I think that would be brilliant. No, there won't, because we put a lot of work and effort into that as our flagship course, and we need to charge monthly for it in order to make it worth its while, which is why, of course, we've got so many one-off courses and why we do a lot of free stuff like this, Alan. We want to be able to do something for everyone. But no, our Digital DJ Lab training is designed for working DJs who are happy to pay subscriptions because they're part of the investment in their DJing that they're getting back from gig fees. So it doesn't make sense for that to be a single payment, because we're already adding stuff to it all the time. So thank you for the comment anyway there. If you generally listen to your music in a streaming service, says Kevin, what method do you use for listening to your DJ ready tracks in your off time, mashups, edits and stuff that's not on streaming? And it's a great question to end off with today. And what I do is I put them in Dropbox. Simple as that. I have a Dropbox backup of my music library. So my music library on my main laptop, I have backed up to Dropbox. And so that means that I've always got all my music on Dropbox as well. And then I sort it. I can't remember what app I use on here to do this. There's a little app you can use. There's loads of them actually for listening to music on Dropbox. And I just sort it by recency. So my most recently added stuff is at the top, and I just play from Dropbox on my phone. Another way to do it, if you're a Rekordbox user and you're prepared to pay a Rekordbox subscription, which isn't as bad as it sounds, because Rekordbox's top subscription gives you an unlimited Dropbox as well, right? So if you use Dropbox anywhere, like in your business, in your life, for all your photos, whatever, Rekordbox will pay for that for you. They'll give you an unlimited subscription that you can also use for your music. So actually, it's quite a good deal. I think it's about $30 a month. For that money, you get to use the Rekordbox app on your phone, which connects to that Dropbox and lets you download all your actual DJ collection on your phone. Not only that, but you can work on cue points, you can work on loops and playlists and tidying them up and all that kind of stuff on your phone, which is pretty awesome. But yeah, it's a great question because, of course, but the other thing I do is when I find tracks I like on, as I say, I use Apple Music, I put them into a folder called DJ to buy. Then I'll go and buy them, right? So I've got them, as I'm listening to Apple Music day to day, I'll be putting tracks into a folder called DJ to buy. And when I've bought those tracks, I'll move them to another folder called DJ bought. So then at least all the tracks that I discovered on my streaming service are in a folder that I can go and listen to on my streaming service. It's not everything I put into my collection, but at least some of them are there. So it's another way I can listen to music that I've bought. It's a really good point because you must listen to your collection. I'm editing some outtakes from our Jazzy Jeff course at the moment. We're launching the Jazzy Jeff course in July, giving it a new launch with lots of new material. And one of the things we're doing is adding a Jazzy Jeff uncut module to it, which is basically, we were with Jeff for many days, and we had cameras rolling from first thing in the morning to last thing at night. And the number of lessons in the course, while there's 80 odd lessons in the course, compared to the amount of time we were there, it's a tiny amount of that time. In between all the lessons, the cameras were just rolling. And anyone who knows Jeff will know he loves to talk DJing. And so there's so much gold in between the lessons, and we've got all the footage. So I'm going through it personally at the moment, about a fifth of the way through. I've already got a good hour of brilliant stuff. And it's called Jazzy Jeff Uncut because he swears a bit and all that stuff. But I'm getting some amazing stuff out of it. And one of the things he says is you have to know every track in your collection inside out. Inside out. Because back in the days of vinyl, we knew all of our pieces of vinyl inside out because they were so rare. We bought 1 or 2 a week. Look, 3 for £15. That was a bargain. And that was 30 years ago, right? Normally you'd be paying £10 for one of those. So consequently, we knew these records really well. And Jeff's point is you have to know your collection really well, because if not, you can't mix well with it. So it's very important not just to listen to new music, but to listen to the music you've already got. And so do try and find some time to do that in your DJing. Right, people, we are done here for today. Thank you very much for tuning in to another Thursday Q&A Live. It's been a pleasure to bring it to you. I'm actually going back now to do an hour's editing on the Jeff course before I head off home for the evening, because I want to get that all ready for the July relaunch of that course. Do keep an eye out for that. Remember, Digital DJ Lab, our subscription program for serious DJs, is now on trial for $1. You can try it for $1. All you've got to do is head to the Digital DJ Tips website and click on that big banner. You've got a few hours left to do that. After that, it goes back to full price, and we don't know when we're going to run a $1 trial on that again. It's full of mixed deconstructions from top name DJs, what we call action plans, which are mini lessons, and there's also a pro level in there as well to give you tips on promoting yourself, networking, and all the business side of DJing. It's a great course, and more to the point, you can try it for $1. So do go take a look at that. If you want to, head over to the Digital DJ Tips website for that. One thing I haven't told you today, which I always do, if you are new to all of this and you'd like a free copy of our book, digitaldjtips.com/join. Head to that URL, digitaldjtips.com/join. Our book has sold tens of thousands of copies. It's on Kindle, it's on Apple Books, it's on audiobook with me reading it, and also you can buy it in bookshops, but you can also have a free copy of it on us just by going to become our latest member. But more to the point, by joining Digital DJ Tips, you will get our Tuesday Tips email every week, which is the fastest way to improve your DJing, because it's packed with free news, reviews, interviews, features, mixes, and even lessons from our courses from all the names on our roster. So well worth getting. It's free to sign up, digitaldjtips.com/join. Meanwhile, get good, get out there, make the moments, and I'll see you again next Tuesday for Tuesday Tips Live, and again next Thursday at the same time, 3 p.m. London, 10 a.m. Eastern. Till then, bye-bye.